You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Good evening and welcome to the Inside AFL show. I am your host, The Horse, and with me, we're just two up at the moment because Squid is on family duties. Hopefully he joins us throughout the night. But Hurls, how are you? We're back again 24 hours later.
Back again. Good to see you again, mate. Ready to talk a bit broader and all the different games and some big news today with the teams coming out for tomorrow night in the, well, it might be a snorkeling game, but anyway, other than that, it's all good.
You're in Perth. How wet is it?
I'm south of Perth, so I'm about 40 minutes out of the city, and it flogged down all day today where I am.
Yeah, okay.
So I haven't seen the coverage yet of the Origin game to know whether Optus copped the same rain. But if it copped the same rain as where I am, it's going to be bloody wet. Apparently, it's going to clear up a bit tomorrow afternoon, so the rain is supposed to ease by lunchtime tomorrow. But 4 games on that ground in 6 days, and the rain we've copped,
it's going to be pretty choppy, isn't it?
It's going to be messy, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get stuck into it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It is round 15. We're previewing everything that's going to happen in the AFL world, SuperCoach-wise anyway. Before we start, though, Yaron, thank you very much for the donation. You are a very generous man and someone who is very much appreciated in the SuperCoach community. Currently in the top 1% as well, Hurls.
Oh, love it. Thank you very much, Yaron. I mean, no one has to come on and donate money and stuff. Like we just do this to hopefully help people out and stuff like that. But if our talking gibberish every week is helping you get to your 1%, Yaron, we love it. So keep going, buddy.
Yeah. I've also got someone else in the top 100. Brad, SuperCoach Pro, is in the chat. Hey, mate, I believe he's about 60th overall at the moment. So going great guns. He's just got himself to 1,000 subs on YouTube. If you haven't yet, he's a good dude. Get across and sub up to him. He does punch out some pretty good material as well. But tonight, this episode is going to be brought to you by The Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. You can go to the website, thestandardsqueeze.com, and use the promo code IFS2025 to get yourself 15% off everything in store. Now, let's start, mate. And because of what's happened with selections, this could almost be throwing a spanner in the works for us and our trade plans because, as our man Clayton says, it could be fucking dogger season tomorrow night.
Oh, look, he's going to run amok tomorrow night. So Vigo Vicentini comes in for the Bombers so they can give Goldie the 2-week rest because Essendon got the bye the week after. Vigo's been going really well in the twos, but this is a different kettle of fish.
This is a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, and I saw a stat. I think it might have been Frico put up a stat earlier today that Doggers hit-outs to advantage is the highest of all the ruckmen. So if he can jump over Vicentini, hit-outs to advantage, plus get clearances on a wet day, plus lots of stoppages because it's bogged, it could be really big tomorrow night. Now, this is a conundrum. Do we change our plans? Like I put my plans together last night for anyone who watched, and it didn't include Jackson. I can keep my plans intact and still go Jackson and just cost an extra trade, but I'm already going to go down to 3 trades, so it would mean I'd have to go down to 2 at next week, the end of next week, and so it's just a conundrum. Like I don't want to throw everything out of the window for one game, but having said that, you're not really buying Jackson just for one game. He's got a unicorn role. We've said that for a while now. What are you thinking? Are you toying with the idea?
You have to, because tomorrow night, first game, are lots of stoppages. He's hit-outs to advantage. He could be the first double ton of the year. So if you don't have your VC on him, as much as you might think he go large, you can't put the C straight on him. But if you put the VC on him and he goes 180, 190 even, you've got such a leg up on the rest of the community when you're looking at a buy round. So it's best 18. And if it's weather affected elsewhere in the country over the weekend, then a 180 or a 190 as a VC score, what's that, 360, 380, that could really put yourself into a really nice scoring platform for the weekend. So
yeah, and people who are thinking like me, of trading Gawn out as one of my options, it's actually got a bit of a flow-on attraction to it as well, in that you're then going head-to-head Gawn versus Jackson rather than Gawn versus a Spud, right? And when I say Spud, I don't mean that, but just any other random player. So it could be, it doesn't unlock as much cash though. That's the downside.
No.
Like I would use an extra trade to do what I need to do. So you got to weigh it up, but it is an option.
Mate, it's not often you get someone of the ilk of Kelly Underwood or a picture of Kelly Underwood in the chat. Ivana Suganob. Where is the shotgun deadly at? Even Kelly Underwood's getting stuck in your deadly. That's when you know you're being recognised. And Skulls in there as well, and blue ballers. Is that Ben Keys as well? Jeez, there's a bit,
I think it is
going on, isn't there?
There is.
It's unreal.
We're influencing the community, not always in a good way, but anyway, it's all.
I love it, mate. You got to take the PI55 sometimes and have a bit of fun with SuperCoach. But let me throw this to you, mate. And it's good that it's the first game, because we can see that Luke Jackson is going to be sole ruck tomorrow night against Vigo, who is a skinny lad. It's his first game at AFL level. Luke Jackson's going to be sole ruck, so he is on for a big one. And you're right, Skull, it is lead in pencil kind of material this is. Do you go down? Because Max Gawn's got a pretty tough run in the next 4 weeks. He's got Cherry, he's got Wits. I'll have to check who else he's got. But is there a chance that you sell Gawn now, make 60K, go to Jackson, and then once Gawn's run's finished, you keep your trades and keep your cash in the bank to buy Gawn back at round 19 just before finals, where his draw really opens up? Because Jackson's got that ruck forward DPP as well, so you could sling him into your forward line then. You
could. I don't know that we've got the trades to do the whole suite of what you're saying. Like, I think you can buy him. That bit I think we can all do, right? You can manufacture your trades to get him. Whether you can get Max back if you trade him out is another story. Like, it was interesting that you said we got Brad in the chat, SuperCoach Pro. I saw he was toying, I think, with that idea of how do you bring him back if you're going to trade him out. I saw a few in the community suggesting that this week. So you could. It's just, have you got the trades? I don't know if I've got the trades to bring him back. I think if I trade him out, it's just out. But if you do have the trades, bloody beautiful, because Max's run is good for the last 5 rounds.
Mate, talk to us about the 11th debutant for Essendon. So the world record, I guess, for AFL is 13, and that was done by, was it Fitzroy in the 1970s?
Fitzroy, correct, yeah.
Yep. So this is sort of uncharted territory for any AFL team at the moment. What are we doing? Like, Essendon-wise, I don't know much about Vigo, so I'm going to rely on you to give the viewers at home a bit of an insight as to what Vigo's like. But it's great for the long-term future of Essendon. But if you're an Essendon supporter, it's pretty important not to get frustrated with results right now.
I agree. Look, Vigo is there to give Goldie a rest this week. That's going to be his role. He's not ready to play week on week in the AFL. He looks good in the VFL. One thing I will say, that the track watchers at Essendon that I know and trust, they say to me the improvement in this bloke over the, 14, 15 months he's been at Essendon is remarkable. Like, he went from completely speculative 15 months ago to some great stats that are comparable for those of you who know Essendon, and the first injury we had, probably first big injury we had for the year, Nick Bryan went down with the knee injury in gather round. His stats are comparable to Nick Bryan in that same team. So I think he's got some ability, but he's raw, and he's probably going to play 1 week to give Goldie a bit of a chop out, unless Goldie happens to go down somewhere in the back half of the year, then he'll probably play all the time. But look, it's exciting to see all these kids. I think you do. It was evident last week, though, that the really good teams are going to pick us apart, and they're going to get tired late in games. Like, even against Geelong, they tried really hard for 2.5 quarters, but it just got too much at the end. And you can't expect too much because they're too raw, and that's that's just how it is. Yep. But they show some good signs, some of them, so it's all right.
Regardless of how the ground is, because it is, you just said they're going to have 4 games in 6 days now. So you've got Freo last weekend, you've got West Coast last weekend against Carlton, which was in the wet. They've got State of Origin tonight, which is Meathead versus Meathead for all you NRL followers that we've got in the chat. And then tomorrow night, where, it's wet, it's choppy. Optus Stadium is known for being pretty hard under feet as well, or underfoot. So that could potentially make it a really, really sloppy game. Which Freo players do you think could go really large?
Look, I think it's going to suit Jackson, Sarong, the guys around the footy, right? Brayshaw will be fine. Tackles galore, clearances, those kind of blokes. And equally for Essendon, I wouldn't be surprised if Caldwell and Parrish and these same kind of players get 10, 11 tackles each. It could be a really high midfield contested midfielders game. I think that's probably what I expect. Okay. Now, normally, and this is the one that I'll get your view because you own this bloke. Normally, I would say Jordan Clark is going to rip us up. We saw what Boyd did to us. Like, we're not good with those running half-backers. But do you think maybe the conditions make it a little less ideal for someone like that and more ideal for those contested blokes? Or what are you thinking?
Tomorrow night is not a night where I'd be buying Jordan Clark, especially if it's wet underfoot. Yeah. I think his run and carry is really good, but it's really going to limit him if he can't bounce the ball back to himself. So when we're talking Jordan Clark tomorrow night, it's a no, but Sarong, Brayshaw, Jackson, Setterfield even, I think he could have a big night tomorrow night. Caldwell. Yep. I just think Fremantle's going to have too much around the ball, especially with Luke Jackson's experience for Essendon to get close. Is there going to be any tags? I don't really see Setterfield going to Sarong.
I think he'll go to Brayshaw, to be honest.
Yeah.
The wet might actually help Setterfield's problem is he tagged Oliver really well at gather round. He tagged Cripps really well. So they're the types he likes. So my instinct says go to Sarong because that's the type. But I think in the wet, they could probably try him to Brayshaw because you're not going to run on top of the ground. So I think possibly it's going to be one of Sarong or Brayshaw, but I'm leaning towards Brayshaw for Setterfield. And I think the other tag, which you can call it a tag or whatever if you want, I think Guelphy normally goes to the taller kind of Tom Stewart types, but I think he'll go to Clark this week because they don't really have the taller type. He's not going to be the type for Luke Ryan, I don't think. So I think he'll go to Clark.
Yep, fair enough. VC Loops, we're talking Jackson as the number one and then toss up between Sarong and Brayshaw? Or would you pick Sarong over Brayshaw given the Setterfield will more than likely go to Brayshaw?
I think any of them worth a punt. I think you've got some good backups later in the round. So I think if you wanted to go, Thursday night's normally my SuperCoach kryptonite, but I wouldn't hesitate going any of those Freo blokes if I had them. And then you've got you've even got Bont in the last game. Like everyone's got some Bulldogs players against Richmond, so I think you can take a punt on your VC this week.
Yep. 3 comments that I want to bring up. We don't normally bring them up during the games, but there's a bit of shit cannery going on. Skull goes, I'll be offering up Kelly undergarments a foot massage before I sell Gawn. And then Kelly pops up and goes, pretty negative character, this Skull bloke. Has received a lot of happy endings in his time. Buttonly dishes out insults around these parts. So I don't mind it. I'm just sitting there giggling to myself while they're rolling through. But Ahmed Frog puts in, is Laverty in? And I'm going to answer that question with a question. You can bring Laverty in, but are you going to be bringing in Radicalea 2.0? There you go.
Do you know what I'm picturing? I can't help myself here.
No.
Do you know what I'm picturing when I'm seeing Skull and then Ivana talking? Yeah. I'm picturing some 17-year-old kid in the basement with 2 laptops and they're talking to himself. Anyway, sorry, I couldn't help myself.
That's all right. Mate, let's go to the next game. Freo by heaps for me.
Yeah, agree.
Yep. Geelong versus the Lions at Alphabet Stadium Friday night. Should be a pretty good game, this one. I put out a social media post on Monday night where Channel 7 put out that Geelong are going to be wearing T-shirts, not T-shirts this weekend.
Yeah.
Unreal.
What
White shirts, middle of winter, cold, wet, shitty conditions in Geelong. Could you think of anything worse?
They're just taking the piss. They're just reminding everyone that they'll probably get someone like Rao because Cotton On will fund the extra salary, and they just want to show everyone their white T-shirts that Cotton On are funding, surely.
Oh, unreal. Deadly did say it's a rip-off of a NCAA team. Is it Penn State,
Penn State. Yeah, I did see people commenting on that. I don't know much about Penn State, but I think they wear the same T-shirts and stuff at the games.
Yep. Should we be buying Max Holmes regardless of his round 16 buy, mate? He is $40K cheaper than Luke Jackson with a break even of 42.
I want to pose this question to you because I don't own Max Holmes and I've avoided it because of the round 16 buy. So I'll paint the scenario. I've got 5 primos on the buy next week.
Mm-hmm.
I can get 19 live players and 17 of them primos, if you're counting some of these fakes that we've all got. If I buy the extra one, would you pull the trigger on a Holmes over? Like the alternative for me, and in all my plans, it's Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera. Would you go, nah, Holmes is more damaging, even though he's got the buy, or would you say, nah, Wanganeen-Millera with the extra game can go as well as him? Don't be stupid. What's your thoughts?
I'd go Wang.
Yeah.
Yep. Just purely because Saints have so many games at Marvel, so weather's not going to be a factor. And you've got the extra game in hand as well. So while we see Max has taken on a massive step forward in the last couple of weeks with his SuperCoach scoring, and he's currently the 3-round scoring is second in the AFL only behind Brodie Grundy when we're talking SuperCoach. I think Wanganeen-Millera is still going to be a consistent 100, 110-point scorer. And with an extra game in hand, Maxi Holmes would have to go 10 points at least extra per game to make up those points.
Yeah, it's logic. And he's cheaper.
Yep. Much cheaper. About 60K cheaper.
Yeah, 60 or 70K less. So
yeah.
That was always my logic. I thought when I was mucking around with the team today, you try all sorts of different things, and that crossed my mind. But yeah, it's logic says go Wang.
Yep. There could be plenty of tags in this one. So we're looking at Dunkley could go to someone, Tommy Atkins, Mark O'Connor, Uishin Mullen.
Yep.
Who's going to who? Do you think Tommy Atkins gets first crack at Lachie Neale?
That probably seems logical. I love Deadly's view in the chat here because he's our tag.
He's our tag specialist. Yeah.
Brisbane tend to be more accountable than tag, so Dunkley probably leans on someone. Because Dunkley's not quick. This is the problem that Essendon faced last week when they played Geelong. They tried to run Setterfield with either Holmes or Smith for a little while, but he just couldn't keep up. And I think Dunkley will have that same issue. If the game gets out into space, a Dunkley type can't tag those two. So do they try to be a little bit inventive and go to Berry, who hasn't tagged for ages, but maybe he tags for a change? The other way around, I think, Adkins to Lachie Neale sounds logical because that's in the contest and that's what Adkins does. I probably think because he's played it could be either of the Irish boys with Zorko potentially, because I think either of them can play that role.
You know what? I actually think O'Connor will go to McCluggage. McCluggage has been quite damaging.
Yep. Yeah, that could happen. And this is what I mean. There could be a few different options here, and it might not even be like one tag for the game. It might just be at different stages of the game. They switch a bloke to negate another. It could be really interesting, actually.
Yeah,
this game really tactical. I reckon this game.
If you're trading at any Brisbane primo, who would it be and why? So for me, I reckon it'd be probably Lachie Neale.
Why? Just the tags that he cops.
Tags, price, you can get more out of him. Yeah. Just Lachie Neale's almost looked as though he's happy to take that back seat when he's being tagged to allow more room for his teammates. Where in the past he sort of worked through tags a lot better. Now that he's got, both the Ashcroft boys there, he's got McCluggage, he's got Dunkley, pretty seasoned midfield that they've got there at Brisbane. It just almost looks like, yep, I'll take a back seat here. If you're going to follow me around, then I'm going to take one away from the contest, and then his teammates know where the space is going to be. So,
yeah,
I think it'll be Neil.
I think that's fair. I think, look, I've got both Neil and Zorko. And I did toy with the idea of trading a few weeks back. I've held them now, and I'm probably going to hold them all the way through. If I had my time again, I probably wouldn't have picked them at the start of the year, but that damage is done. So, yeah, I don't mind the concept, and I think there's a lot of us in the community this week are thinking about, because we're now to our last 6 or 7 trades or whatever, unlocking cash from blokes like Gawn, Neil, Zorko, Merritt, Dacos. We'll talk about him a little bit later. I think he's in your kind of mind horse of someone you're thinking about moving on. Yeah. So there's all of these little ideas you could do. I guess each team is different and it's all team dependent, but just think about what you're going to do. And the one thing I will say is if you're gonna trade one of them out, don't panic after 1 week. Like I saw people whinging last week that they traded they traded Zorko and then he got 120. Like you're trading out blokes who can get 120s. That's going to happen. It's what do they do over 10 or 11 weeks? That's what you're trying to safeguard against.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Any VCC options, or do you think it's a bit risky in this game given both teams' propensity to tag?
Yeah, I don't love the idea of a VC in this game personally. I mean, if you've got Holmes and Smith, they're scoring well, but I don't know. I think there's some better options this week.
Yep, I agree.
Who wins?
Geelong. I was just about to say I made myself pretty happy. I was playing around with the trade scenario in the background, and I can move out Isaac Rankin for Luke Jackson and have $300 left over.
Oh, there you go. There's an option.
There's a big option there for me. Geelong's a win for me, though.
I reckon Cats too. Brisbane are in a bit of a rut at the minute, aren't they? Like
they are.
They should have beaten Adelaide and didn't. That's going to bite them. Then they got run over really by GWS, and the Cats are playing really well, and they don't lose very often down at GMHBA. So I think they'll win.
No, they don't. You're right, mate.
You couldn't get your fans to wear 25,000 white t-shirts and then turn your toes up, could you? That'd be humorous.
Unreal. I don't know. White t-shirts. I'm talking March, or you're talking like a preseason game. You're not talking middle of winter where I've just checked. It's going to be 4 degrees. Dickheads.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, Carlton versus North. You know what they're going to do? They'll give everyone white t-shirts and then they'll have white jumpers for sale and try and make their money that way.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, Deadly said 5 likes for me to do that, horse.
the Rankin
to Luke Jackson. Oh, I don't need any likes. I think it's done. The Underdogs at 12:30 curtain raiser.
Yeah, you're going, what the hell is he talking about here? So I wanted to just shout out any Carlton or North fans that are thinking about getting to the G on Saturday. Go a little early. There's a curtain raise. I was watching 360 before they came on, and before we came on, and Brendan Favola was on, and Fev and Fifi Box, who are off one of the radio stations in your neck of the woods. I'm not sure if they're on which one they're on.
I think this.
One of them anyway.
One, yeah.
They've got this initiative they're calling the Underdogs, and they've got a team of kids who are to be picked in this team. You have to apply, and it's all the kids who get left out of teams. They might have autism. There's one kid he was talking about that's got 2 club feet, so they never get picked in their sporting teams. They never get to do anything, and the clubs are giving them the platform. They're going to run through the same banner as the AFL team. They're on the MCG. So if you go into that game, just go an hour earlier, go and cheer the little kids on. I thought it was brilliant bloody concept that Fev was talking about. He's obviously done some stupid things in his time, but when you hear stories like that, and when you're a parent like we are, you just think that's really cool. The kids would have a great day. So it was.
I think so. You're right. And word just in is that Deadly's going to be playing in this game and captain.
Oh dear.
And you're right, Skull. Wet T-shirt competition in Geelong, or I'm not interested. What do Carlton do at selection if Kerno and Mackay are out for a month? This is really going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. So I think they'll go with McGovern forward. I think they've got no other choice but to bring in, is it Lewis Young? Yep.
Yeah. Is he injured though? Is he fit, Lewis Young?
No, I think he's just shit. He hasn't been fit.
Maybe.
Hudson O'Keefe out as well.
It's a conundrum.
It absolutely is. And as soon as I saw, bet responsibly everybody, Lockie Bramble, but as soon as I saw the odds come out for North Melbourne this week, I jumped on straight away. I reckon this will be the upset of the round.
Yeah. I don't know. The line at the start of the week was plus 24.5. I had to put that in my multis too, gamble, Lockie Bramble responsibly. But I think the interesting thing for me and why I brought this up, because my answer to this question, if I wasn't on a SuperCoach podcast, is who gives a shit? Because that's fantastic that they've got no forward line. They didn't have one even when they had those two players. But
that's right.
My SuperCoach brain says, a lot of people are asking, will Carlton bring Shitnet back, play TDK forward and all of that kind of stuff? I just can't see it. I don't know. What do you reckon, Horse? Is that an option for them? I can't see them playing TDK as a permanent forward. I think he'll suck at it.
He has in the past.
I know he has.
They're almost running out of bodies, though. They have to create something. And for those that sold Max Gawn and bought in TDK, they'd be absolutely spewing because I can 100% see this happening. Does it mean it's going to happen? Probably not, because Voss he's built different, and I'm not talking about the good different. So they need some sort of presence up forward, and you're not going to get that. We see our man Deadly, Jack Silvani, Lewis Young, Mitch McGovern. You know what? That doesn't scare me. You talk about Essendon's forward line. You talk about Essendon's forward line, Peter Wright, Nate Caddy, and whoever else they've got up there. That's got more potency than this, mate.
I know, but I just don't see that TDK offers anything as a forward either.
But has he already got 1 foot out the door and Carlton have got to start preparing for life after TDK and playing shit net? It's definitely food for thought, isn't it?
I think it's worth looking at the teams tomorrow night. Like at the moment, I've got TDK in flex, and my one of my plans, as everyone knows, is to trade Gawn. If I see Shitnet in, I'll be trading TDK. Like that'll be absolute guaranteed. I'll call that right now. Mm-hmm. So in a way, I hope if it's in their mind at all, I hope they do it this week because I'll at least know and I can get rid of him before I trade Max. But yeah, it's just an interesting one. I don't know.
Yeah. Skull saying Voss built different. Horse thinks he's packing. I've actually played 2 games of footy with him, or played one, and he was coach on the opposition of another one that he was part of. So East Gippsland 2013 it was, Orbost. And then remember the TV show The Recruit? Yep. So when the police played the recruits.
Oh, yeah.
So I played in that game, and that's when Brad Dixon Brad Dixon. What's his name? Dixon.
Ben Dixon.
Ben went fucking nuts and smashed the board and was yelling at the recruits and that. Yeah. Very interesting. But yeah, he's built different. But anyway, stories for another day when we're on the gas, Skull. When we're talking Georgie Hewitt, though, as a point of difference, he's 7% owned and got back into the 120s last week. And Carlton's good run home. Well, you would say it'd be good, but without a forward line and without his... Oh, well, I guess it doesn't really matter for him because last week he scored 127 or whatever it was, and he only had 7 kicks for the day.
Yeah, I think this is the thing with Hewitt, and it's probably something we need to think about when we're picking our teams next year. Who's the guy in the midfield? And maybe this is for some numbers that we'll get Brody to do at the end of the year. Like, what did the CBAs look like? Who was M1, M2, M3, M4 in every team? And what did their SuperCoach scores look like? Because some teams play like 4 mids, some play 7 mids. And I think Hewitt's just in that beautiful spot where opposition go to Cripps or to nobody, and he never gets attention. He actually can play negating and get the footy. So I think his role is a bit foolproof. Whether when he handballs too much, it does affect his ceiling, but it doesn't really affect his floor.
That's right.
It's one to think about. I don't know if it's too late to go there. If you're going for one, like most people I see buying players now, especially because we've got the option to go Bonds and Butters if you haven't already gone there. I think maybe Hewitt's probably just going to stay at 7% owned, but it is an interesting one.
Yep. I see IJ with the squeeze in the chat, mate. We're going to be doing that within the Patreon this week, mate. Clarko, what's going to happen with McKercher, Daniel, Sheasel?
Just super glue. Clarko, super glue.
And we saw a bit of an indication that was the case last week. Kirch, he had the role. 27 touches, 24 kicks, no worries. He got 60, so be it. This week, it'll be much, much better than that. Daniel, as his little 5-foot fuck-all partner down there in the back line, give me 90s each week. I'll be happy with that. Sheasel, working through the midfield, 30 touches a game. He'll get you your hundreds. Like, are they going to be massive hundreds? Probably few and far between. But if you're scoring his 110s to 115s, we'll be happy with that now.
Yeah, I think if Clarko, we've put him on notice last week when Squid was with us, that if he unsuper glues these three magnets, he's copying a cone, because this is the right structure for all of us now in SuperCoach. Sheasel getting CBAs, McKercher and Daniel as the Seagulls in the back half. It's our best chance to get a 90, 100, and 120 out of the three guys in whichever way that comes. We don't really care, right? It depends on the shape of the game and what happens, but they can all average it at 100 if he keeps those magnets there. So that's what we want.
Yep, 100%. Blue Ball is saying, I can get Little Helmet to Dogger. Was saving it for Martin, but 200 this week is tempting me. Yep.
I think if you were planning Little Helmet to Martin, I would absolutely consider Jackson.
Yep.
You're not deviating much.
VC or C options in this game, mate? Are you going with Cherry?
I was going to say, I think Sherry's a significant option. Everyone's probably a bit down on him because he sucked in the last quarter last week. I'm not sure he got a disposal in the last quarter, and he sort of just was a bit mediocre at the end there. But even if TDK is sole ruck, whether it's TDK or Shitnet doesn't really bother me in this game, because it's going to be a contested type of game, isn't it? So I think he's going to love the tackling. I think he's a VC option for sure.
Yep, 100%, mate. And for me, Kangas to win.
Yeah, I've said this a million times on this podcast this year. If I get the opportunity to pick against Carlton, I will. And so this game, go the Roos, Squiddy. I'm on your bandwagon, mate.
Let's go, Squiddy. Let's go to the next game, mate. That's going to be the Sydney Swans, South Melbourne, as you will, versus our man Froggy's mob, Port Adelaide. And this is in Adelaide. The first burning question we have, mate, is will Pickles play, or is he just a shit trainer and puts on excuses to not have to do the running?
I think he had a bit of a sore shoulder and refused to touch the ice. So he's just lingered a bit longer. No, I don't know. You wouldn't love that footage, would you? If you were buying him or you own him, you wouldn't have enjoyed seeing that footage of him looking like a cripple on Monday night or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's right. Like it looked like his shoulder was nearly out of place. But he'll probably come back and score 110.
Maybe. I think the interesting thing for me, and I've got a few questions this week about if you had the choice of a forward, would you go Pickles? Would you go McRae? Would you go Darcy? Like they seem to be the three popular forwards everyone's buying. Let's park Jackson to the side because he's more expensive, but they're the three sort of value kind of forwards. And I kept replying to people, if you can hold off for another week, I want to see another week, because what we saw from Pickles last week was a great score in a shit role. He had 9% CBAs. So I'm always nervous of that. If he's going to have 9% CBAs for the year, I don't want a bar of it.
No.
But he can still score. And if he can get to 40% CBAs, he can score you hundreds every week, probably better than the other two. So it's just a bit of an interesting one. So, yeah, I don't know. Pickles is a worry for me.
It's like we're at McDonald's here. Are we going to go pickles or should we just buy lettuce, icebergman?
Let's get the iceberg man.
I've claimed him. Kizza, you and I both, mate. This is our man.
I think he's an option. Well, I said this last night. He was in one of my plans. I don't think I'm going there, but you could go much worse at 460K.
Yep, I think so.
You know,
and he's got the
you know who he reminds.
well.
You know who he reminds me of? I thought of this today when I was mucking around with some of my trade moves. He reminds me of Hayden Young of last year.
Yeah.
Once Hayden Young got used to going into the middle, he just became a really good player, and we all traded him in, traded him out, traded him back in, etc. Bergman reminds me of that. When he was at half back, he was inconsistent, but since they've put him in the middle, he's really found his place. And I think you could go there for 460. DPP is attractive. The other thing that worries me about Pickles is exactly that. If he's in there, it could mean Pickles stays that more forward than mid kind of split.
I think you're right. Yep. Mate, is Mills a must-have?
I wish, this is going to sound really weird because I'm probably buying Mills. I wish he was 450 because I wouldn't touch him.
Yeah.
But because he's 350, my head keeps telling me it's the only way you can make the jigsaw puzzle fit together by buying him because he's D6 at that price.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a utility. I don't know where he's going to play. He got his one good score against Richmond. Yes, he'll improve into the season when he gets some more games, but I don't know that he has the role to be a consistent SuperCoach scorer, but he has the potential to spike. But do we need another one of those? The price is what's attractive about Mills, but if you don't care about money at this stage of the year, I'd be inclined to probably take the punt and anti-pot him.
Yeah, for sure. Like he did score 67 quite quickly in his first game and then 100 last week against the Tigers. But Skull brings up a good point that who else is he comparable to when we're talking injuries? Like he's held together with duct tape. Like you just need to hope that he gets through the last 10 games of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, have a look at this. Have a look at this for royalty.
Hey, good morning.
Pistol Pete. So Pistol's actually sitting in the top 1% at the moment. He's sitting just over 2,000 at the moment. And he was a big advocate for Luke Jackson many rounds ago. So I've got to give the man credit that while he loves the Bricky's laptop and loves a punt, he definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to SuperCoach. Yeah,
he does. And he's a massive contributor in our WhatsApp. Yep. He's a funny bloke. I really like the we got some crackers in there. Shouldn't single out just Pistol, but Jesus, some good blokes in there, and the banter's fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, you give the man a pump up, and then he puts in the chat shit like this. Justin McInerney time.
I saw that today, and I'm like, I'm not going there. I can't do it.
Unreal. Nah, I can't do it either. Not with the ins that they've got coming back as well. And let's talk about those ins. Goulden and Papley. What does that do for structure, mate?
Well, Goulden goes to a wing naturally. Do they this is going to be the fascinating bit. Do they manage his time? Because he was a 95% time on ground bloke. He's got maybe the best tank in the comp, right? He's the fittest bloke ever. And he plays the most untraditional, if that's a word, wing role of any winger in the comp. So he plays wing, but it's run everywhere. He doesn't get stuck on the dead side because he just goes wherever he wants because they want him in the chains. He links it up with everything. So I think eventually, talk 3-4 weeks time, Goulden absolutely improves Heaney and Warner's chances of getting good SC scores because he links with those two better than anyone. So I think
he does.
From a future point of view, I think Goulden fit and back is good. Mm-hmm. But what it does to the structure, where does Mills go? McInerney was a winger. Does he stay on the other wing with Goulden on that one? Happily comes. It just makes it a bit messy from a real logical point of view. As someone who's not a Sydney watcher, I'm sure in our chat we'll get some intel from Phil and from the Gasometer, who's our two Sydney boys in there. But yeah,
Mick Nolan. Yep.
Yeah, Mick Nolan. So I think that's probably what happens. But I think ultimately good players like that have to improve the team because there's more effective disposals going around.
Gordon is the best winger in the competition, bar none. When he is on, there is no one better. But Matt Roberts. So I'm a bit skeptical on what his role might be now. He hasn't exactly been setting the world on fire. He's been scoring okay without being fantastic in SuperCoach. He's a little loose when it comes to manning up. I think Riley Bice is the first one out. But
I think that's true.
But with Angus Sheldrick playing the way that he has through the midfield, and since he started playing that role on the inside, Sydney have looked better. So I'm happy to come out and say that I think Sheldrick's role is fairly safe as the inside midfielder. Does that now mean that Mills goes back to half back, and then with the likes of him and Blakey and Lloyd, if he goes back there as well, he's been playing up on a wing as well. Where does Roberts go? Does he go to a wing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I think Roberts can only really play half back, and these guys were all in the team last year too, right? Except for Sheldrick. So I think Roberts will be okay. But I just like we saw in the first half of the year, if there's going to be weeks where Roberts gets into set possessions and he's going to get 110, and there might be other weeks where they bypass him a lot and it goes to some other blokes and he gets not as much. So I think if I was a Roberts holder and I could wait 1 week to see it, I would, but I wouldn't be ruling out trading him.
No. 100%. Is now the time for Butters, or do we wait?
It's a really awkward break even, because even with the tag, and Jordan's tag hasn't been great this year, let's be honest. We could probably get Butters for similar next week though, with a 90 break even if he doesn't go stupid against the tag. But yeah, maybe it just depends on when you need to pull the trigger rather than what the matchup is. Maybe you got to avoid the matchup side of it from your plans and just go, all right, when's the right time for my team to buy someone like him? And if the cash dictates this week, then do it. If the cash dictates next week, then wait.
I think you're right. Yep. Who tags who? Do you think Rowbottom goes to someone? Do you think Willem Drew goes to someone?
I don't know. Bergman goes to someone probably. Bergman probably goes to Heaney. It would be my first.
That's a fair shout. Yep.
That would be my first, just a guess, because I'm not sure if he's got the speed to go with
Butters.
With
He's on the same team with Warner.
With Warner. But I think he could go to Heaney. I mean, Jordan to Butters seems logical to me. But do they go Jordan to Rosie instead, and then let Rowbottom go with Butters, maybe?
Rowdy brings up a good point, mate. Is Roberts to Blakey worth it? Feel like they set up the same as last game and let the Lizard loose.
Yeah,
Lizard struggled to start the year, didn't he? It's a big unknown with Sydney coming off a bye and now having basically, well, I'm not going to say their full team back, but this is probably as strong as they've been all year now.
Yeah. If you knew that Blakey was going to play like he played against Richmond for the rest of the year, then he's a great shout, because he played between the arcs. He got a lot more inside 50s, a lot more dash, a lot more overlap run. But I'm not trusting that yet. I've seen it against Richmond only. So, who knows what will happen there. So I don't know if I'd go Roberts to Blakey this week. If I had the luxury of waiting a week, maybe.
Yep. Any VC or C options? I've got one. And he plays at Sydney.
The big Jesus.
Brody Grundy against Dante Vicentini. Yeah.
I think he's a good shout. I think he will. It'd be interesting whether they play Sweet and Vicentini this week again together. They did against Max last week. But Grundy, could. If it's just Vicentini, Grundy will feast. And I don't think Sweet's even as hard as he was last year. So could be a good shout if you've got him.
For sure, mate.
Who wins?
Shit. Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I think Port as well. Was this the game last year where it was 82-0?
Yep. Yeah, Sydney really shit the bed in this one. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go Port as well.
Let's go to, it's going to be Marvel Stadium, and we know what St Kilda love to do at Marvel. They play Collingwood there on Saturday evening, and the big question straight off the top, mate, is does Marvel give the Saints a chance? And before you answer that, I want to say absolutely it does.
Yeah, the question's probably more which St Kilda rocks up, right? Like if the St Kilda that played, was it Freo there, where they just boxed them in and they couldn't get the footy? And
Freo kicked one goal in the first half.
Yeah, and then was it against Melbourne as well that they played really well? That was up at Alice Springs or something. But St Kilda are just Jekyll and Hyde. 1 week they're uncompetitive, and then the next week they shut down a team. So I don't know which one rocks up, so I can't trust them. And I think they've got to be bloody good to stop all of Collingwood's weapons. Like they'll send Windy to Dacos, that's 100% certain. But I think Collingwood have proven this year that if you stop Dacos, it doesn't stop them. But Marvel probably does just give them a little bit of a chance of closing it down. MCG, I would say they'd have no chance.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, mate. Collingwood, do they start resting and managing their list on the run home? So we know they've got Pendlebury and Sidebottom, who are a combined 3 million years old.
Yeah.
They look fairly settled into that top four. Do you think they start to rest some players? Like their forward line is a little bit older when we're talking Mychek. I think he's 32. McStay's 31 and coming off a knee. Mason Cox, I think he's 34 from memory. Not that he's, all the time in the ones, but I'm pretty sure they're the oldest team in the comp alongside Geelong.
Yeah, for sure. Probably older. But I think they do. Recent history says they manage their team, right? They've been doing it all year already. So I think they definitely start to manage guys. But what's interesting about the way Collingwood do it, they tend to manage the same guys. Like I don't necessarily think they give Dacos a rest unless he's injured. That's a different story. But they tend to manage your Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Mychek. Yeah, they'll pick it out. They'll pick out the ones that they need to manage more. How these are the ones that they'll manage throughout the season, and that'll keep happening. But I mean, from a SuperCoach point of view, probably the only one that is relevant to us all is Dacos. Does he get managed? Unless he's sore, I don't think he will.
No, I don't think he will either. No, and I was planning on trading Dacos, mate.
I was going to ask you that because I know earlier in the week you were thinking about that idea. What's changed your mind, or what's the theory behind it?
Yep. Let's start from round 16. West Coast, no tag.
Yep.
Carlton, who's you get? Chincotta, maybe.
Oh, Chincotta, yeah. Chincotta's there now, yep.
Gold Coast, who's you get?
Nah, no tag there.
Fremantle, who's you get?
Maybe Wagner. They sent him. Is it Wagner or Warner? I get those two mixed up. I can't remember which one it is.
Richmond at the G.
Nah, nothing.
Brisbane at the G.
Maybe Dunkley or someone, but more a stoppage tag more than anything. Yeah.
Yep. Hawthorn at the G.
Yeah, they didn't tag him this time around, did they? Nash just went to him, I think, but it wasn't a real tag.
Adelaide.
Did they put any time into him when they played him?
I don't think they did.
Can't remember. Maybe Peatling ran alongside him, but I don't. Yep. Yeah, can't remember.
And then Melbourne to finish off the year.
And they sent bloody Langton to him, which was quite strange. So yeah, there's not as many tags as some other stretches of the year. You're probably onto something there.
Yeah. So that's why I'm going to hold him now.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you expect to see out of Sink and Nass? Now, Collingwood don't tag. So this could be a really good game to, possess both Sink and Nass in your sides.
Yeah, I think they will run amok. It's not Collingwood's style to worry about if someone's getting a lot of the ball. No. So I think they will. I'm really interested. Is this St Kilda's first game post-bye? Did they have the bye last week or the week before?
No,
the week before.
I think they played last week.
The week before they had the bye. Be interesting because there's been a bit of talk this week that they're going to bring Boxall back in. They're going to play the Flying Viking, Taru. Matthias Philippou might come back. And maybe even, what's the winger, number 22? Wilson.
Darcy Wilson.
Yeah, he might come back. So is this a sign, if that's the selection, is this a sign that they're going to go for youth for the back half and just see what happens? That would be interesting to have a look at too for the Saints.
For sure. Mate, when we're looking at St Kilda's run home from here, 10 games left, 6 at Marvel, 1 at the G, 1 at Geelong, and then 1 against Freo in Perth and 1 against GWS in Sydney. So it's fairly friendly.
Yeah, not bad. I think, look, most of us have Sink or Nas or both. I think that's good. I think a few rumours this week from some of the media saying that Marshall is playing sore. That's always a really bad sign for the ruckman because because they said they don't think he's in doubt. He'll play, but he's sore. That's worse because usually if you're sore, and we saw even with Sherry earlier in the year, when you have that 2 or 3 week bit where you're sore, it means your scores are hampered. You can't get around the ground. So Marshall owners might be a bit nervous. But maybe Boyd owners will get a little surprise in the next month or so.
Yeah. Dacos, Windhager, probably likely to happen after we saw what Windhager did to Bont last week. Yeah.
I mean, this guy's up there with the best taggers in the comp, isn't he?
He's really good.
Yeah. I don't think he's much of a footballer when he's not tagging, to be completely honest. But as a tagger, he stops the opponent and gets his own footy. So I don't mind those kind of taggers because they're not like the Langdon tag on Dacos where they're just being a backpack and they don't touch the ball. They get 4 touches themselves. Those ones shit me. But guys like Windy who actually put time in and win the footy, I think good luck to them.
100%, mate. Yep. St Kilda to win for me. I think they get this one done.
Ooh, that's a big call. No, I think I'll still go Pies just for no other logical reason that one team's good and one team's shit. Can't trust the Saints yet.
No, not yet. But
I would avoid the VC at all costs on Dacos, though, if you own him. But you could consider it on Sinclair or someone like that if you want to.
Yep. Let's go to the next game, mate. So that'll come up on Sunday, and we have GWS versus the Gold Coast. And what better way to bring up our long-term sponsor, Ryan from Astute Newstead, who loves Lockie Whitfield. Winnie Blues, as you will. Use the promo code INSIGHT for all your residential and home loan needs. Actually, I can't this week, but have a look at Hamo there. There's a lot of Tom McCarthy from West Coast about him.
Oh, that's not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. Yeah. Maybe we'll put the 3 of them up and see who gets the most votes.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be that Tom McCarthy. Hamo's a shit bloke.
No, I meant Whitfield and McCarthy to see whether there's more likeness to one or the other. That's what.
100%. Who's in better shape in these two teams? I reckon this is as good as Gold Coast have ever looked, mate.
Yeah, their game is really in good shape. But they probably they haven't done it yet against the good teams away. That's the bit I'm a little bit unsure of. But their game is in good shape. You can see Dimmer's fingerprints all over their style, right? It's the slingshot halfbackers with Noble and Rioli. It's the small forwards like Ainsworth or whatever his name is, and Ben Long and these guys, plus the new kid that his name escapes me. The contested ball is the new bit. So he didn't have this at Richmond. He didn't have the contested ball winners. So he's actually got an extra weapon that he didn't have in that Richmond team. So you can see where they're going, but they have to keep Rowell at all costs.
They do.
They have to.
Sam Taylor's out. Broken, was it toe?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So Lockie Ash and Whitfield. Looks pretty friendly for him on paper, but without Sam Taylor, that means there's going to be more responsibility on the likes of Himmelberg and Jack Buckley and, dare I say it, Sammy Baker.
Leak Aaliyah.
Leak Aaliyah. There we have a Leak Aaliyah alert in aisle 7.
Can I say about Leak Aaliyah horse?
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing how they set up for the next 3 weeks, because I think he has looked very ordinary the last 5 weeks. But I think they're playing him to either raise his price in a trade, or because they know that if they don't play him, they're trying to find out, is he good enough or not, or do we trade him? But I think the reason he's looked poor is because there's too many bloody defenders down there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens without Taylor, because he could actually show a lot. In that game he played last year, he looked better when he played as the defender, right?
Yep. Let him
so it'd
play
be
as the
interesting to
intercept
see.
defender. I reckon he'd look
Agree.
Yep.
So that'd be interesting to see. But the other bit on Ash and Whitfield, Gold Coast against half-backers, Gold Coast are just so friendly. So I think they will both run amok.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. For those that are thinking Madden or Rouston, however you want to pronounce his surname, I don't think we go either.
Yeah, look, if I had any faith in job security for Ralston, I would probably go there. But I just don't know if I can trust him, because the time on ground, I watched him a bit closely last week because I had him in a multi, and he just missed the disposals that I needed.
Okay.
And his time on ground was really low, like we see for a lot of these young centre bounce mids, right? They're in the 60s and they come off twice a quarter instead of once. And he also shared the centre bounce with O'Halloran when he was on. So I just think it's a bit of a job security risk, because the price is good, 113K. But yeah, the job security maybe not so much. But maybe some people just want the cheap guy anyway and go there and don't care if he becomes dead. That's an option. Yep. But if you're worried if you want someone for job security, I think there's a bit of a worry. Yeah, and our man Deadly saying 62% was his tog, which doesn't surprise me. That's what it felt like just watching it, because he had the 2 spells every quarter.
Yep. You're struggling to pronounce surnames when IJ's in the chat telling you how to pronounce a surname.
Roast on.
Mom, the roast's on.
There you go.
Which Gold Coast stars should we target for the run home? Is it Nando's? Is it Matt Rowell? Is it Took Miller? Is it John Noble as a bit of a pod option down back? Where are you going?
I'm probably not going any, but I wish I could go Nando's. I really would like to, but I haven't got the trades to manufacture it. I already went Bonds and Butters over the last 2 weeks, so my midfield now is probably done. And if I do go another one, it's probably going to be a DPP kind of guy.
Okay.
But I do love the run of Nando's. I really think he's an option.
For sure. Any VCs or Cs in this game? Probably a C being a Sunday.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could take a punt here if you wanted. Like, the Gold Coast mids will go well. GWS have conceded big scores this year to midfielders, so you could go there, and equally the other way. Like I said before, the half-backs against Gold Coast go nuts, so you could go Ash or Whitfield as well if you really wanted to. So there's plenty of options. Just depends on your who you've got available to you and whether you go a VC on Thursday night or not.
For sure, mate. Yep. Let's go to the next game, mate.
Last game.
Western Bulldogs versus Richmond. And we see Pistol is in the chat. So be keen to see what he thinks of his Tigs up against the Western Bulldogs. And before we talk about this game, let's go a little controversial. Jamara Ugle-Hagan is back at training this week. So we've had questions on the podcast last night and across social media about how Jamara Ugle-Hagan's going to affect Sam Darcy this year, or Aaron Norton, or the makeup of the Western Bulldogs team. I can tell you, and I am in no way, shape or form associated with the Western Bulldogs right now, but you look at some of those clips about Jamara Ugle-Hagan at training and how little his teammates gave him. He's basically having to be there so then he can be moved on next year. He is not coming back this year.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing, so putting that out there, I have no information. But I said last night, I will be absolutely staggered if he plays a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's there because to get ticked off to be able to be traded, he had to pass let's call it whatever the AFL's protocols are for their well-being, health and well-being policies.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he didn't come back to the club at all, didn't do 1 minute of training, didn't do anything, they wouldn't have allowed any kind of trades at the end of the year. So I think that's purely why he's there, because both his manager told him that, and if he wants out, he had to go do it. And the Bulldogs, if they want him out, had to let him come back and do it.
Yep, for sure.
That's my personal view. I don't know if it will come true. Who knows?
Is Sam Darcy going to burn coaches who bring him in? Let's talk Supercoach now.
It'll be a bit of fun until he burns you. Look, I don't know. Like I'm not a key position forward kind of guy, but that's because we got burnt last year, and I did definitely on Curnow, and they're very different. And Sam Darcy is bloody good to watch, and he's going to score massive against most teams on the run home. I think they play some really junk teams on the way home, and he's going to destroy some of them.
I'll get them for you now. Richmond to start off with. Then Sydney at the SCG, and then followed by North and Marvel at Adelaide. Then he's got Brisbane at the G, and mind you, they don't have Jackson Payne anymore. He's out for the year with that knee. Yep. And then he's got Essendon at Marvel, GWS at Marvel, Melbourne at the MCG, and then West Coast and Freo to round out the year at Marvel. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his last 10 games are at Marvel. One's at the G, and the other 2 are at the SCG and Gabba.
Yeah, it's a beautiful run.
Uh-huh.
If I was going to steer anyone into a key forward, Sam Darcy would be the man. But I think you just got to be a little mindful that he is a key forward. And so don't if he gets a bit spiky on the run home and 1 week's a 70, don't sort of throw the toys out of the cot, because it can happen for key forwards. The little advantage with Darcy is you'll go into the ruck for a little bit, which I was a little surprised to see that first up last week. I thought that eased him in just in the forward line, but he did a bit of ruck work. So that gives you a little bit of confidence that, one, they think his knee is absolutely no issue, and two, that he gets that advantage of being around the ground a bit and scoring well all game, not just when he's in the forward line. So I think he's a good option, but he is a key forward.
Is Fade Bont an option? No. I don't think it is. Last week, I put out a social media post that was the lowest that he'd scored. Actually, I'll backtrack a little bit. In his last 100 games of AFL footy hurls, he has scored under 100 14 times.
Wow.
It was his lowest score for such a long time. 2020 or 2021, I want to say. Yeah. And that was against North Melbourne. I reckon it was 2021 against North Melbourne. He scored a 59. So when we're talking the absolute elite of Supercoach and someone who's got such a high ceiling, I think you have to have him in. And you know what? He's going to get cheaper for those that don't have him. When you're talking Marcus Bontempelli at under 600K, 177 break even this week against the Tigers. He could go 150 this week, but you could get him at 550K next week.
Yeah, I think at that price you're going to jump on, right? I think the thing with Bont last week is not the game that I want to highlight, because that's a tag game. They happen very rarely for Bont. I don't think you're going to have many Windhager kind of tags that be able to run with Bont.
No.
The thing that is interesting, though, is he wasn't setting the world on fire for the other 2 weeks earlier. So I think there's a world where those 170s and 180s aren't there anymore because of their setup and the emergence of Ed Richards. And so there is a world where you could take a gamble. But the problem now is the gamble was worth it when he was 680. Is the gamble worth it at 540? That's where it gets a little tricky for you if you're fading. Because like when most of the community was out alone, buying him at 680 and you were fading and he got these crap scores, you look like a legend. If you go the other way and the whole community jumps on at 540 and you're fading him and you're out there on your own without him and he gets the 160s again, that turns the tide pretty quickly. So it's just you got to weigh that up.
Richards, Dale, Bont, Darcy. Let's throw in Liberatore. Is there anyone else you'd throw in there?
I wouldn't have Libba either, but I get
Treloar if he's up and about. Like, they've got such a good Supercoach side when we're talking Supercoach scoring. Western Bulldogs have been top 2 for the last 4 years, I want to say. Happy to be fact-checked by anyone in the chat, but how many is too many? Like, let's say now, for me, I've got 4 Freo players.
Yeah.
So I've got, as it stands right now, Jordan Clark, Andrew Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, and Luke Jackson. I've also got 4 North Melbourne players. I've got McKercher, Sheasel, Cherry, and Daniel. So when we're talking, is 4 too many? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think I could live with 4.
Yeah.
Especially if in both of your scenarios, one of them's a half-backer, 2 of them are midfielders, aren't they? And then the 4th one becomes whatever else, maybe a ruck or something like that. I think that works. I don't know. We've already seen the riskies, and everyone knows the riskies. They have a really shit game, and you have a bad week because of it. We saw last week, if you just look at those 4 names, forget the others for a bit. Richards went massive, Dale went massive, Darcy went well, and Bont went shit. So the risk is if you have too many, you're always going to have one that goes probably not so good. That's very rare. You're going to have, every week, how many Supercoach hundreds are in each team? Maybe 6 maximum in most games, 7 at a stretch when a team really dominates. So if you've got 5 of them, expecting them all to go big hundreds is where you get a bit unstuck. So maybe 4 is what I would say is your max.
Yep. The meatball. POD. 1.6 of teams he is in. He has hamstrings as good as mine. Would you pick him?
I can't.
I can't.
Look, I think there is a world, though, where you want a pod. Like, there's not going to be many pod scorers that can score like he's currently scoring. I think he averages 120, 123. You're not going to get a 123 average bloke at 1.6% owned very often, because everyone jumps on, right? But no one's going to jump on this bloke. So if you want to be different, it could be a Supercoach winning move, right? It could backfire significantly too. But if you had extra trades and that was your competitive advantage against the comp, then it's not a stupid idea.
You're right. Any C options save for the last?
I was just going to say the anomaly in Supercoach is he's M2 and he's played 2 games, and M1 is currently Tom McCarthy. So who would have predicted that on their bingo card at the start of 2025 Supercoach?
It's unreal, isn't
it? That's just by average, right? So it's obviously skewed by 1 game and 2 games. But anyway, C options for sure. Any of them. I think, to be honest, Dale will run amok. He will dead set run amok in this game. Richmond don't put time into those back flankers. Yeah, it's again your risk is picking the right one, and does one of the other ones have the big game and the one you picked didn't? That's probably the risk. But there's plenty of fallback captain options. Like most of us in the community use the captain as the fallback. So I think go your riskier VC, whoever you think's going to get your biggest score, and use this game as your fallback for a Bonds or a Richards or a Dale or whatever.
That's right. For me, Western Bulldogs by 10 goals.
Yeah, they'll win easily, especially at Marvel.
Richmond really don't like it there, do they?
Yeah. And for those who are tuning in and choosing not to watch the Neanderthals, it was 12-6 to the Maroons, who are ahead. The Hammers scored 2 tries, and Brian Toto scored 1, for those of you taking same-game multis. But Lockie Brandon responsibly.
Beautiful. Queenslander.
I've got my better half will be extremely happy at this stage and probably not getting into any fights. She's at the game and she's a massive Queensland fan. So if they win, it'll be very good because she won't get into a fight with some redneck bloke.
Oh, hope not. There's not going to be any cones of the week this week, ladies and gentlemen, because our man Squid is tied up with family, and no one, let's be honest, no one does it as good as our man, the Squid. So we will get something out to you maybe even tomorrow night. We might even try and throw something in for our Panic Room show. We'll have to wait and see. For those that aren't a part of the Patreon, before we get into questions, this is how you get involved.
Want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level? Inside Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
For those that are planning on coming on the round 24 footy trip to the MCGL Marvel, the draw hasn't been released yet. Get yourself involved. Get yourself in the WhatsApp group because we're slowly building a bit of an itinerary that is bound to be an absolute ripper day. Now, I did say that we weren't going to do a cone of the week, but have a look at this.
Oh, Kizza. He wants a cone. Do we give the people a cone, Horse?
Can you do one? Can you think of a few people to cone this week?
Oh, we'll make some up.
All right. Well, you've heard it from the man's mouth. So we are no Squiddy, but for the millions and millions of fans that tune into this show, they do tune in to listen to this part of the day as Hurls is actually getting himself properly set up here. You know what time it is. Kane, take it away. Go on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to do our man Squid justice. So bear with me. But for the cones of the week this week, first of all, for the first cone of the week, just a little cone. I want to go to Channel 9. So Channel 9 this week had one of my favourite journalists, Cal Toomey, on the shittest show on TV, Footy Crapified. Now, Cal, please don't go to this shit show. Stay on the AFL channel. Stay doing your draft stuff. Channel 9, weakest piss, be better. For a second cone for this week, Horse, I want to go to our mob. I can't help it. We've got a lot of injuries, yes.
Yeah.
We've got everyone out. There's 11 rookies, debutants this year. We all know that, and we've got a little bit of sympathy for them. But for goodness sake, we turned over the ball to give Geelong about 9 goals in a row on Saturday, and I was going to smash my TV. So the Essendon back line, and that includes blokes like Xavier Dersma, who turned it over about 5 times, who's one of my favourite players. It includes blokes like bloody Zach Merritt, who turned it over, Caldwell, Parrish. These were the senior guys. Weak as piss, be better. Stop the turnovers. The effort was good. Turnovers shit. But for our cone this week, Horse, there can be only one cone. I live in WA. Ooh. And I've been reporting today while we've been on this podcast about the state of origin. For the AFL and Optus Stadium, they get a joint cone. So they played a game Saturday night. North Melbourne sold their 2.5 million and they played a game at Optus Stadium. They played a game Sunday, West Coast versus Carlton. They're playing a game Wednesday night. And not just a game, a rugby league game that is just all about rolling on the field, tackling, scrums, digging up the turf, basically. That's their whole intent, is to dig up turf. And then a game tomorrow night. This is an advanced cone. The scheduling gets the cone, weakest piss, be better. And if there's a bloody ACL to an Essendon player tomorrow night, I am going to give another cone next week, Horse. And AFL, Optus Stadium, weakest piss, be better.
I love it. You've got this pent-up rage that you just needed an invitation to just get it out, didn't you?
That's it. Hopefully, Squiddy, that was acceptable, mate. I even turned the hat around for you.
You know what? I've got one as well. Sam McClure. I'm looking at you.
What did he do? What did he do this week?
You to fucking say that Bailey Smith and Max Holmes are not A-graders. I have no words. You're a fuckwit, mate. Weakest piss, be better. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. They are our cones of the week. Oh, I didn't have any technical terms for Sam McClure there, so I just had to go with straight facts.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry for no prep. I would have prepped if I had known I was doing the game.
Yeah. It's all good. I thought we might have had a sneaky chance. Oh, and you know what? He did say something about grand final time and how it should be moved and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. He could be every week. He dead set could be every week.
Well done, Hurls.
Some good
That
feedback.
was Maltese rage, Hurls. Jasper, calling Sam McClure a fuckwit's a bit polite.
That is true. Sam McFuckstick is his name, isn't it?
No cone for a certain host and his technical shortcomings. Yeah.
I don't cone the family, Ahmed. I keep it to externals here.
You want to get stuck into some questions, my man?
Let's do it.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
As Mr. Munster, Melbourne Storm's best crosses the line, 18-6 Queenslander. Let's go to our starred comments. James, hey, mate. Ranked 850. Thoughts on Gawn to Jackson and Pedler to Darcy. Then in a few weeks, Clark and Johnson to Was and 99K rookie, but only 2 trades left. But with the flex and McCarthy as cover can hold injuries. I'm doing something similar as we speak.
I think this is the conundrum or the dilemma or the thought process tomorrow, probably, that do you go down to the extra trade? Like I can do something a little similar, not exactly the same, but manufacture someone like a Jackson in. But do you go down to 2 trades instead of 3 by doing it? Is that too risky? I think it's okay. I mean, if you're in this boat now where let's be honest, how is it going to be? How are we going to catch up? Like we're miles behind. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but just be aware that you might run out of trades and be bored for the last 5 weeks of SuperCoach when the finals hit. That's the risk.
I want to give another shout out to Yaron, not just because he's donated to the show, but because he is sitting within the top 1% at the moment and making some really good moves. And hopefully we'll see some green arrows this week. So Yaron, absolute legend of a bloke. Best of luck for the rest of the year, my good man. Blue Ballers. Dogger was a bit forward with Shrek last week, and that was a bit random. Yeah, Longmuir, don't pull that fucking shit cannery this week.
I want to have a little look though, because he did play some forward, but I think he still played a pretty high percentage of CBAs. Yeah. Let me just
you get into that, and I'll keep going with questions while you do that.
Go for it.
Tommy, selling Gawn for 60K doesn't feel worth it if it's for 150K potentially.
Yeah, on face value, I agree with that. I think that the difference, what you're actually doing though, is you're selling Gawn, and instead of buying like Wanganeen Miller, you're buying Jackson, and you're using an extra trade to bring your other primo in later. So I understand that. I think it doesn't feel great, but if people want to do it, I think it's that kind of year.
Yep. Skull, Chalky Neal and his immaculate calves are due a decent 120.
It's probably overdue, but he hasn't been doing it.
No. Sheasel had 10 clangers last week, 2 and still went 110. Yeah, that's right. And he's normally a very good user of the ball.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Hurls?
Jackson, he did drop to 57% CBAs last week from 92 the 2 weeks before. So it was a drop. He scored 100 flat. So, yeah, it is probably a bit of a watch if Darcy goes okay for the run home.
Yep. Skull, is 2 shit Vicentinis too much to watch? Yeah, turf one, and it's not the Flag Dons one.
Yeah, they're not. Luckily, they're not playing against each other. Or you're probably right.
Yeah, that's right. Socks up, shit mo. Even shitter swords sell. He's talking about pickles. Janko, hey, mate, are we trading Gawn? Is McCarthy a great flex player? Well, he's not playing this week, Janko, but I kind of like him in his scoring ability if he keeps that quarterback role. He was really good against Carlton.
Yeah, I don't love relying on McCarthy as flex personally. I think in a perfect world you get to 23, even if there's some fake primos in there. I think you get to 23 and McCarthy is your defense mid loop. I think that's the perfect world. But if you can't get there, then at least you've got a DPP flex and McCarthy has the role. So I think that's okay if that's all you can get to. And are we trading Gawn? I think these 2 questions together is really good to put them together, because probably if you trade Gawn, Like for me, for example, if I trade Gawn, I can afford to have McCarthy as the loop swing D7 M9. But if I keep Gawn, then McCarthy has to be my flex. So for me, it's an either or question.
That's right. Luke Jackson could go nuts this week. Yep, he definitely could.
Great.
AJ Supercoach, are you a police officer horse? No, not anymore. I was 17 years, mate, and gave it up in March this year. So, yeah, it was good fun, but now I get to do Supercoach a lot more. Sam Darcy has a haircut I like. Good at Supercoach, scoring, and is the longest of boys. And you know what? He's backed it up by saying, Darcy to ton up this week or I'll shit in my shoe.
Hopefully the shoes you're going to get rid of after that, Skull, not wear.
No, that's right, mate. Ahmed Frog, do you buy Bont this week? If it's this week or maybe never. It's got to be this week or next week, but he could go bonkers against Richmond this week, Hurls.
Oh, he could. I think the break even says you don't have to go this week, but the matchup says you should. Like 177 break even. So even if he goes absolutely nuts, he's not getting out of your price range, right? So right. If cash is a bit tight, you could easily wait, hope he gets 110, and you're going to get him next week even cheaper again. But if you want the Richmond matchup, then that's whether you pull the trigger. Now he's already cheap, 587.
Yep. I've just got a message from Squid saying your coning was unbelievable.
Ah, good.
So you've done the man proud. He's got his little son in his arms at the moment. So
perfect.
Shout out to you, brother.
Thank you, Squid. Hopefully we did it well, mate, and you can come back and take over next week.
Tingles with his head like cauliflower and microphone head. Kennedy will go 100 here against Richmond. I reckon so. Nankervis is quite easy to score against when we're talking rucks.
Yeah. He's been okay, English. He's actually had quite a decent year.
Avina Sugarknob. Fucking love that name. Let Hurls have a go at coning someone. He could just bag Carlton out for 3 straight minutes.
I purposefully went, I didn't do any planning. So when I say purposefully, I wanted to just avoid Carlton for the minute. But if I have another opportunity later in the year, Ivana, I promise there will be a Carlton coning in there.
Blue Ballers, is Little Helmet to Darcy a win to save some cash instead of Dogger?
Oh, I don't mind it. It just doesn't release much.
No,
I've actually tinkered with Little Helmet out in a few of my little experiments this week, thinking that he's probably the one you could get rid of. I've now got 4 North players. If you get rid of Little Helmet, it's not going to really kill you. The trouble is it's really sideways. Like you're only unlocking, what is it? So he's at 469. Darcy's the same price. So you're not unlocking cash. You're just sidewaysing someone.
Spot on. Reese, Rowdy. He was actually on the panic room last week with me, young man.
Very nice. Thinking
of trading Jackson McCarthy in for one of Merritt or Neil and a Rook. Which one out of these 2 clowns?
I've said this for a few weeks now, and I did it last week. I traded Merritt. I don't like the nature of the role where he's moving around all over the place, even though he got CBAs last week. He gets the tag. Essendon's run is shit. If I was trading a midfielder, he would be the one, but I don't know how much cash he's lost now as to whether it's worth it.
Are you talking Merritt?
Yeah.
He was in the 600s, wasn't he?
Nah,
He's now 528 with a break even of 129.
Yeah. So you could still do it. It's just not as lucrative.
Yep. James P. Second thoughts, going straight from Clary to Whitfield. Yep, I like that. Good move.
Yeah, absolutely. I assume, James, you held Clary all this time. And
yeah, he has.
I think that's a beautiful move.
I want to give James a bit of a shout out too. He does help us out occasionally from week to week with some inside info when we're talking footy clubs as well. So, Jimmy, I appreciate you, mate.
I think that's my head on someone's thing. Is it? That's scary.
It definitely is.
That's very scary.
The hat backwards and all. DJ Gardner.
That's very scary stuff. Anyway,
Dale captain over bot. You're actually. This would now mean that you're a model.
Oh yeah, we're in trouble now. I can tell my when I get off here, I promise you, when I go and tell my 13-year-old stepdaughter I'm now I'm a YouTuber and I'm famous and people are using my head on their whatever those
thumbnails,
things are called, their thumbnails, she'll laugh her head off. Tell me I'm an idiot.
Who would you trade this week? Gray at 173 or the Peddler File at 203? That's an unreal nickname. He's got Paul Bearer as his little DP as well, right?
Yeah, yes. Gray, because Gray is not coming back unless you need his DPP.
Yeah. Clayton. Hey, brother. How are you, mates? Any disgusting pods under 350 to get to the 24th, lads? I'm keeping my eye on Dangerfield for round 17 onwards. Yep.
Yes. Yep. And another one who has an arse injury, Brent Daniels, if he's back.
Green.
Toby Green, if he comes back. These kind of ones, yep, absolutely. They're cheap. You're going to get huge spikes because that's what they are at that price, right? But I think they're okay. Off the top of my head, there's probably a few others around the traps, but that'd be the two that I would go with.
You're the influencer now.
Influencer, that's it. I'm not sure who I'm influencing, Kizza, but it's scary.
Hey, Horse, your thoughts on Deadly's real father, Paul Bearer? He's alive. I used to love watching Paul Bearer. Early 90s WWF. Fucking get around it. Spud Farmer. Hey, mate. Rankin and Sam Darcy in flex or Jackson and McCarthy in flex?
Oh, Jesus.
If you had to pick, out of the two combos.
I assume that means that you've already got Rankin and you're trading Darcy in and he'll sit in flex versus trading Rankin out to get Jackson and then McCarthy becomes your flex.
Mm-hmm.
I probably still think Rankin and Darcy. We get really hung up on recency in SuperCoach. What's to say in the run home that Rankin doesn't go back to 70% midfielder and score 100 again? And if he does, and Sam Darcy's scoring 100s, Jackson and McCarthy, it's a hard one because McCarthy's got the role, but McCarthy's a rookie.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I'm going to say Rankin and Darcy, but I'm not really confident.
No. Spud Farmer, correct.
Yeah. I'm not confident though, Spud. I think that's hard. That's a hard one. I think that's personal preference.
Oh, your missus is in the chat.
There you go.
There you go.
What's she watching us for if she's at the game? Must be that boring.
Getting her priorities right.
Yes, sir. The game's that boring that she's messaging us.
Hurls, we're going to wrap it up for tonight, mate. Where can the good people at home find you?
On Twitter. I'm actually going to the game tomorrow night and watching the Bombers play, and hopefully we don't get beaten by too much. But most of the weekend, I'm usually watching footy and message me on Twitter or in our Patreon if you're in WhatsApp if you're a Patreon, and talk a lot of good banter and SuperCoach and hunting and all sorts of fun stuff.
To the nearly 300 people that are in the chat at the moment, I'm going to throw out a little challenge. Let's try and get as many people with Hurls' head as their DP for next week's Tuesday's Hurls' team reveal or team show.
Let's not. Jesus.
I would love to see that. That would be very funny.
This is very scary stuff.
I reckon it's great, mate. Just X to find you, mate, as well, for those that aren't inside the Patreon.
Yeah, X, Silvertop, at Silvertop Hurls. I spend a bit of time in there. You might even catch me on there later at night because Royal Ascot's on this week. So it's sport galore. It's great. It's a great week.
Yeah, it is. And before I sign off, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight, remember, it is okay to not be okay, and it's not weak to speak. So it is cold. It can be isolating. People don't go out as much these days, but just remember, you can call a friend, you can call a relative, you can inbox us here at Insight if you just want someone absolutely random to talk to as well. We will talk and we do care. There are also lifelines out there, call lines, helplines when we're talking Lifeline, Beyond Blue, and these sorts of agencies as well. So please, if you need help, reach out. It is okay to not be okay, and it's not weak to speak. And if you haven't yet, why haven't you put a thumbs up on this video, Hurls? Like, you even put your hat backwards for the bloody coning tonight.
That's it. Give us a thumbs up. What's the triple banger? Thumbs up, like, subscribe, and what's the other one?
All that sort of jazz.
I think I've missed one, but anyway.
Yeah, we've got some NBA content coming around the draft next week as well. Our NFL guys are starting to ramp up their content as well. There's heaps going on here at Insight all year round. We've got you covered for all kinds of sports. So, yeah, like, subscribe, put the bell on, and you'll get us all year round. But remember, put that thumbs up. But if you listen to us in audio, give us that 5-star review as well. It helps us get out to many more Supercoach-minded people. And as Skull says, thumb in, boys. I'm Horse. This is Hurls. Hopefully Essendon get within 150 tomorrow night. And we'll catch you tomorrow night for our Panic Room show. Sure to be a banger.